Hello and welcome to IsoNation. Thank you very much for watching. This is the 6th episode of our Leaders Insights series, and I'm really happy today to be joined by Jo Min from Springfield Mind. Hello, Jo.
Hi there, Rachel. Thank you very much for inviting me along today to talk about Springfield Mind and how we're working during this very difficult period.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. We're excited to have you here. So Jo is the Deputy Chief Executive, and she's going to give us a little bit of a background on Springfield Mind and how it runs currently or pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a chat about sort of how things have changed and how you're working now, both for your teams and also for supporting the community. So Jo, if you tell us a little bit about Springfield Mind.
Okay, so Springfield Mind is a mental health charity. We've been working in the mental health area for around 35 years now. We were initially based in Warwickshire, but we got some funding over the past couple of years, and we've now started to develop our services across Worcestershire. Our main focus is around well-being and well-being for individuals. So it's not just about people that have a diagnosis. It's actually about everybody, because everybody does have mental health just as like everybody has physical health. So we're there to support when people are feeling quite low, or when they've got stress, work-related stress, as well as those that may be struggling with bipolar or other diagnosed mental health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So mental health has been quite high on the agenda for a number of years now anyway. But I think at this time when we find ourselves in unprecedented situations, when we're not going about our usual daily activities and daily lives, people are going to be struggling a little more, or maybe people that haven't even felt particularly anxious about things previous might be feeling that anxiety and feeling that they need a bit more support. What has been your kind of reaction since the moment you realised the coronavirus pandemic was a serious threat to the UK? What was your initial reaction as a person and also for the charity?
Okay, so we've been watching it, both me as an individual and also our organisation. We've been watching the news and following it for quite a long time, since it sort of started in China, and just keeping an eye on really what was happening, because obviously with it coming over here and the work that we do, we work with a lot of vulnerable people, so we needed to kind of keep on top of what was going on. So we kind of kept calm throughout most of it, and then it got to the point where we started to realise that, okay, it's going to have quite a big impact on us as an organisation. And the first areas that we looked at really was what do we do with our peer support groups, because we have large groups of people coming to gain support from each other as well as from our practitioners, but also our staff as well. We do have a number of staffs that are classed as vulnerable people as well. So we followed pretty much a basic process really, of right, okay, so we need to make sure that all these people are safe. So our first initial reaction was to speak to the groups and look at how we can continue to support them, but not obviously in a group environment. So that it was our first kind of reaction. And then also looking at the staff and volunteers that are classed as vulnerable people as well. And they started working from home from quite an early stage. So I think it was around sort of the beginning of March, they started working from home, which has been interesting, home working. I'll pick up on that later if you like. But yeah, so it was very much around looking at how we can continue to support our service users ongoing, and making sure that they understand what's going on, and that it's not rising their anxieties as well, and supporting them in every way we can.
Mm-hmm. So have you managed to keep those peer groups running in a virtual form, or how have you adapted your services to cope with the fact that people aren't able to obviously be meeting face to face?
Yeah. So with our services, we run a variety of different services. So we do some face-to-face support, which are our peer groups that I've just mentioned. And we also have face-to-face one-to-one support as well, where we offer 6 sessions of support to individuals. We also offer one-to-one sessions in GP surgeries as well. So as soon as the GP surgeries decided that they were going to close down the access to the general public, we continue to offer that over the phone from home. Again, with the peer support, we have offered that over the phone. So it's ringing in and just checking in with people rather than having kind of the peer support element. The practitioners have been phoning in people once a week just to check in, see they're okay, see if they need anything. And being able to signpost to other support that's out in the community, like food banks or CAB, you know, those other organisations. We have been running one programme using Zoom, which has been really good, Mood Masters. But what we've done with that, so that's a group where we always met together. It was only an hour, but it was more like a workshop. So people would work through different symptoms of mental well-being. So for example, talking about sleep, low mood, stress, those sort of things. And we've offered half an hour Zoom sessions and then half an hour phone catch-ups on a fortnightly basis for those individuals, which has worked really, really well. And interestingly, one of our services, which is called a Safe Haven, which runs at night time. So it was set up, it's quite new itself, but it was set up for individuals that may be feeling in crisis and there's nothing else open at the time, that they could come and drop in and have one-to-one. But interestingly, we've had more people accessing that service. Now it's gone onto the phone than when it was face-to-face. So we've kind of followed that because we find that that's quite an interesting change in dynamics in the way that people normally like their peer support.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be something that you can offer in addition when things reopen and are back to usual.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we are looking at, particularly with the Safe Haven. We are already looking at offering additional hours. We're just waiting to get the tools in place, so the new phone line, so that more staff can work from home, so we can offer it over the weekends in the daytime as well. So hopefully early May we'll be getting that launched. But it's definitely something we want to do, is look at offering more of different types of support now that people actually feel that they can gain that support through phone or online, and they don't feel they have to travel somewhere or have that face-to-face, and that it is actually just as beneficial. So yeah, we're with the leadership team are always coming together once a week and talking about these new developments and ideas, and you know, once all this is over, how can we improve our services to reach more people and support them in more of a person-centered way, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such an interesting time for you as a charity and as a mental health charity, because it's almost it's sort of two things, isn't it? Probably more and more people need your support at the moment, but how you're used to running your services, perhaps they're not able to gain that support in that way, but you're trying to find these ways to probably reach more people, for more people to know who you are. And then I guess another side of that is probably your fundraising side has probably taken a bit of a hit with charity activities and donations. So it's kind of juggling all these balls really, because it's at a time when you're really, really needed, but it's a time when obviously it's difficult for you as an organisation to put these things into place.
That's quite right, and you're spot on with the fundraising. Sadly, we just recruited a new fundraiser. She's still in post, so she will be knocking on people's doors when she's allowed out again. But it has been very difficult, because we had a number of events that we were looking at doing, working with people, and because of obviously people, you know, social isolating and areas being closed down, the fundraising has pretty much dried up. We have got online campaigns going forward, which people have started paying towards those, which is absolutely fantastic. And I can share those links with you if you'd be happy to promote those for us, which would be brilliant.
Absolutely.
But also we offer a training program as well. And again, this has been hit hugely. And that's kind of the training and the fundraising support the core business of the organization. So it provides us to be able to do all those services and grow the organization and reach more people and look at development and research. So we have been hit quite hard in that area, and the training is a lot around, we do a lot of corporate training, and although we still have that training available, it's been postponed. So obviously the funds aren't coming in as we need them right at this point. So yeah, it's been very difficult balancing that side of the organisation and then enable us to look at delivering more. So a lot of bid writings going on at the moment, quite time consuming, but it's another way of funding.
Yeah, well, absolutely. For those of you that are watching that are interested in finding out how you can support Springfield Mind as a local mind charity, then we will put some details about that at the end. And if you've got any specific questions as well for Jo, do let us know, because we will get those answered for you. So, kind of just backtracking a little bit, you talked about your teams and how you're all working. You're all working from home, as most of us are.
Yeah.
How's that going? How are you supporting your own staff? Because you mentioned some of them are vulnerable staff members as well. Obviously, you're there to promote wellbeing and offer this support. So what kind of initiatives are you doing with your own team? That would be really interesting for other business owners to potentially help check in with their own staff.
Yeah. So we have regular check-ins, which generally tend to be weekly. So we'll have like 2 Zoom meetings with the teams together. We'll do one-to-one meetings. So we found that Zoom, I sound like I'm promoting it now, but it's absolutely brilliant to be able to get onto that system. It's been a learning curve because none of us have really had to do online stuff before. So it's been really interesting kind of learning how to get all that set up, which has been good. So we do team meetings, we do phone calls as well. So we're always checking in with each other, not just around sort of tasks and things, but just, checking in how you're doing. Some of our staff live alone as well. For example, I'm a single parent with 2 young children. So I'm trying to do the teaching as well as the working, which is very difficult. And it's good to be able to have my colleagues that I know that I could just phone and just say, look, I'm having a really hard day today, and they'll be able to just talk to me and say, you're doing the best you can, you're doing a good job, take time away from the computer as well. You're at home, so utilize that time as well, so you can be much more flexible with your time than when you're in the office, which has been really, really good. Some of the other initiatives that we've done, one of our practitioners, she delivers a physical health program, which is generally before we had the pandemic. She would be out there encouraging people to take part in all sorts of different physical activities, from walking through to Tai Chi, yoga, boxing, all those different things. But obviously now that they can't do that, so she's doing some online exercise videos around wellbeing and exercise. So that's should be on our website and our Facebook page. And she's also doing an initiative for the staff as well, which is called Springfield Stay In and Work Out. And so she suggests different activities to do, and the staff get involved, and then they write into her and say, this is how many minutes I've done, this is what I've done. And then we kind of publicize it across the teams and also across social media. So it gives you a bit of a boost and a motivation to know that your colleagues are out there and you're all kind of working together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a few of those on social media, actually. They're really good.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it gives that extra level of accountability as well when people are literally doing that check-in. So you might be, some of us might have the best intentions of using our hour of exercise outdoors to go for a lovely run, but perhaps aren't doing it. Whereas actually when you've got that accountability, when you're checking in with somebody or a team of people, then you know that you need to be doing it for them as well as for yourself. Obviously the benefits for you, but you're part of something, which is what we all long to be as humans generally, which is why this time is particularly tough, especially for those that are living on their own. I feel strongly for people that don't live with other members of the family, even if our children drive us a little bit crazy sometimes. We're lucky enough to be with other people, but for those people that are really self-isolating, are really on their own, do you have any other sort of top advice from any of your initiatives that you could share with us?
Yeah, so I mean, loneliness, I think, and social isolation is going to be a big thing now for those individuals that are living on their own, but also for people that perhaps aren't living on their own, but you know, work has been a big part of their lives. Their colleagues, that over the coffee pot conversation sort of thing has been a really big part of their lives. So to be working from home, you do still get that sense of loneliness, I think, and some of the key tips that I would like to promote is around the 5 ways to wellbeing, which is a national initiative. And it is about how you can connect and keep in touch with people. So there's 5 elements called connect, learn, keep active, give, and take notice. And it's how you want to take those forward. So connect, like we're doing right now, we're having a conversation, you know, over the internet. That works brilliantly. Or you can just phone someone, perhaps you haven't spoke to someone in a while, and just check in with them. For example, a friend of mine contacted me via Facebook. I haven't spoke to her for about a year or so, and she just phoned, you know, check in with me, see how we're doing, and had a really good conversation, and sort of made plans for when we can get out again then. So you've got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Again, the learning, if you have chance, read a book or look at different things that you could learn, maybe take up crocheting. Or I know one of my son's moms took up crocheting and said it was a nightmare, so she wasn't doing that again. Now she's much more successful, which is brilliant. So, you know, it's about learning different skills. It's not becoming an expert at it, it's about having a go at things perhaps you haven't done before, and doing that.
And also not putting any additional pressure on yourself to do it.
Exactly.
Because then that could add, you know, to more anxiety if, you know, you haven't learned Spanish in the time that we've been in lockdown or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so it's kind of what you can manage, really. It might be, you know, cooking a new meal for yourself or something like that. So again, keep active, which we've spoken about. That is really, really important, whether you do it inside or you take that hour out where you can go out and about and walk or run, or you know, any type of exercise is going to be really good for your mental health and obviously your physical health. It gives you those endorphins, it gives you that boost, and it gives you that energy, because I think being in your house all the time in the same sort of 4 walls, not moving around as much as perhaps you would do, you're going to start to feel sluggish and get tired more, which brings your mood down. So keeping active is really, really important.
And I also think for people at home that are trying to continue to work, it's important that they realize that there is that flexibility. You don't have to be sat down at your desk with your laptop on from 9 to 5. You know, we're all working through extremely difficult situations. So you don't feel like you need to be tied to your desk. Make sure you can obviously do your work, liaise with your team, but be flexible. You are at home. Take advantage of that. Like you say, make sure you are going outdoors. And I love that I mentioned it in my previous interview, but I love that the government keep banging on about it, really. And they've prioritised health. They've prioritised time outside as really beneficial to us all to keep us going throughout this. And we're so lucky that, you know, we've not been in a complete lockdown scenario where you're not physically allowed out of your house. For those that are physically able to, they can get out. I mean, we've just been mainly going into the garden, but we've got that to do.
Yeah, and I mean, it is really important to take that time to do that activity. And as I said earlier, and that you've just touched on as well, it is you're not tied to your desk, so you're not in your office or where you would normally be for those working periods. And take that time, be much more flexible around your hours. So yesterday, for example, I started work at 8:30 and I worked through till midday, took some time to go and have some lunch and talk to my son about what maths he was doing, and then I worked for a couple more hours. Then I took about 3 or 4 hours a break and started doing a little bit more work in the evening, because I could be that flexible. And it's about how you manage your family, your home life around this, because you've kind of molded your work life and your home life in one. So you've got to be flexible and don't feel pressured to sit at your desk for that 9 till 5 period. You need to be much more flexible in this way of working.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, I've interjected within your steps, so I'm not sure if we got through them all from the list that you had.
Oh yeah, so the last couple were to give and to take notice. So to give isn't necessarily about giving money to a charity, although that would be absolutely amazing if anyone can do that. But it could be about giving your time. So maybe there's a lot of volunteer groups that have set up around just checking on elderly people, checking that they've got food, or just checking that they're okay. Give them a ring if you know them, or just look out for your neighbours if their curtains haven't opened, things like that. So it's about giving your time as well as giving money and other things that you can give to somebody, so that you're kind of taking care of your community as well as yourself, because at this time it's really important that the community start to sort of interact and link in and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a really important point. And then take notice, and that can be anything really. I mean, the other morning I sat in the garden, I think it was last week, was it, when we had all that lovely sunshine? And I went and sat in the garden and I just listened to the birds, and just hearing the birds, and it's really relaxing. It gives you time to just relax and take that time to kind of contemplate and work things through in your head as well. So definitely just take notice of nature and how you're feeling as well. And there's mindfulness, which is brilliant for some people, and that's about taking notice of your breath and doing some small breathing exercises, which helps you relax, relieve stress, and can also help you focus your mind much more.
Yeah, and be in the moment as well, isn't it? It's about being present and being in the now.
Yeah.
We're the same actually in our garden. We've got some lovely birds nesting in a big bush down one side of our garden. I can see them flitting about actually out the window, and it's so lovely. They're so noisy, but it's so lovely. And we've even had like a sort of early dinner out there and listened to them, and had the kids with binoculars looking and drawing pictures, and it's something that we probably would not have time for.
Exactly. So I think, it's kind of it's an interesting time, because there are all the struggles and the difficulties and the loneliness, the social isolation, but there is kind of a positive on the other side, isn't there, where you can take notice and do things perhaps that you would never have had time for, or you kind of just looked and then rushed off again and never really thought about it. So
well, I think finding those positives and keeping hold of those positives and focusing on those positives rather than the negatives as well, that's going to really help everybody throughout this time with their own mental health.
And we've got those services that are available over phone or on Zoom that can help people turn those negatives around and talk about other goals and how to build those strategies to try and stay positive in these times as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been reading a little bit online about people sort of, which comes on to a question that we'll have in a moment, but like when will things get back to normal? Will it be back to normal? Is there a new normal? Is there such a thing as normal? Or what things would we want to take from this time that we can carry forward when we are going back to our offices to work, or, you know, doing the school run or whatever it might be? Can we actually find a new normal where we're not rushing around perhaps as much, but we are taking that time to notice things, which was your last point on the list, which is lovely.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good little guideline, just very simple, but simple things that people can put into practice. So I'll make sure we follow up and comment in the comments below for people that are watching on that as well.
Brilliant.
So you've been looking after your staff as well, checking in. What other issues do you think people are finding at home? You've actually touched on one that I had noted down, which is not seeing other members of your family. So again, talking about that kind of loneliness aspect, or missing people. We're all very much used to human connection, or it's one of our basic needs, really. Even people that struggle to have that. So I guess you've probably got some advice around connection and just keeping in touch with people on that.
It would definitely try and keep in touch with people as much as you can. And don't be afraid to phone. If you aren't feeling great and you're not feeling, don't hold it inside. Because human connection is one of the most important things for us, as you just said. And to be able to speak to someone else, that takes some of that stress and pressure off yourself. It takes it out of your head, and gets someone else, not necessarily to do anything about it, but it's releasing that and having someone to talk to. So, you know, if you are alone at home and, you know, your colleagues were kind of your main lifeline, pick someone that you know that you felt comfortable with. It doesn't have to be your line manager or anyone like that. Someone else that you would, you know, normally have a chat with at work, and give them a ring, drop them an email, say, can we have a quick chat? And I'm sure that, you know, they would be more than happy to do that, because I think everyone is feeling the pressures, whether, you know, you live with a massive family and you've got lots of people to communicate with. It's a very different environment working at home than actually working in your office, where you're kind of more focused. So it is about having those connections and reaching out to people, and not feeling ashamed or feeling that you're putting on anyone, because nobody will feel that at all.
Yeah, and actually, like you mentioned earlier on when we were talking, that you'd been in touch, either you or an old friend had got in touch that you hadn't spoken to for a year. Now might be the opportunity to do that. Why not send a message, even like on Facebook or whatever, to somebody? How are you doing? You know, how are you finding it at the moment? What's it like for you? You know, I know we haven't seen each other, but what a great way to reconnect with people that, again, perhaps you haven't had time to do so.
Definitely. I mean, it was lovely that, you know, my friend dropped me a message and we had a good chat for about half an hour. Sorry, she's seen me. Yeah, so it was really nice to chat to my friends, and as I said, you know, we then made plans for when this is all over and how we can meet up with each other, because she lives down in London, so we don't get to see each other a lot anyway. But it was nice, and now we've both got something to look forward to. And I think that's important as well, is being able to have something to look forward to. This isn't going to last forever. We are going to be back out in the community, and it's kind of thinking, you know, making those plans of what you can do and what you might like to do and who you might like to see, and making those contacts.
Yeah, and perhaps before you may have made excuses. I'm too busy. Oh, I really want to meet that person, but actually I'm going to cancel that plan. Whereas I think now we'll hopefully really value the plans that we make a bit more than perhaps we were pre-COVID-19.
Yeah, I think everyone, well, for me in particular, it has been quite eye-opening, because with work, I'm always working. I'm very busy. I'm rushing around. You know, it's a charity. We work evenings and weekends as well. So you're very focused all the time, and you kind of lose what's going on elsewhere as well. So it's really important to now know that actually rushing around isn't the best way. Take the time, take some time for yourself. You've got to look after yourself, and then things do fall into place. If you're not looking after yourself, you're not eating properly, you're running around, you're not taking time to digest like conversations and things, you know, you react and the emotions take over. And I think having this time has really taught me to take that time, be quiet, and just listen to nature, what's going on, and be in my own head and be able to process things much more better than I had done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great thing to hopefully take forward. So talking about going forward, when do you think that the lockdown might end? How do you envision us kind of getting back out there? Because actually, just we were talking then, and I was thinking about, we had the initial sort of 3 weeks, and it would be reevaluated. I don't think anybody thought for a second that it would go back to normal then. But what was nice is in the mid of that, after the sort of second week, we had Easter, which was a really nice break. And even though maybe we couldn't see people that we would normally see, it was nice to maybe stop working from home, make home again, and have some Easter activities. So now we're back in, right, we've got another 3 weeks until we then know the next steps. It's almost giving people that, yes, that hope about planning things for the future. But again, I think people are perhaps nervous. They don't want to go back too soon. They wouldn't want to have a second wave of crisis and things like that. How do you think, I know we're not experts in this, but how do you think it might go for people and getting back out there, going to shops again, going to the pub again, or what it might be?
I mean, that is a very hard question. I've no idea really when this will all end, but I know there is an end to it. Which is good. I think moving forward, potentially, I mean, what we're doing is we're planning to keep our services online and via phone till at least the end of June. So that we know that that's in place for people and they can have that support, and it gives them some sort of stability to know that that's going to be there. So if we do all start going out before that and things get back, we can still offer the face-to-face, but we know that we've got that as a backup that's going to continue to keep running. I think it's a very hard question, that one, as to what's going to happen. But I guess it's just keeping in touch with the media and understanding, you know, where the government's going, because I think they're right in you know, keeping the lockdown as it is and making sure, because what we don't want is a second wave coming, and it's about being able to make sure that we now can continue to support our customers, the people that we support through this period in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the uncertainty is one of the biggest challenges for people, especially people that like to know exactly what's going on or are very precise with their planning, or are great big planners and love to plan ahead. I mean, I must admit, I'm quite a day-by-day person anyway, so I'm probably okay-ish in this scenario. That I know people that really do love to plan and organize things, and having that uncertainty lying over us, I think, is a big challenge for everybody. So I think what you guys offer and your messages of well-being and preventing mental health issues, really, you want to be more of a preventative, so that people are being open and are either talking to each other, like you mentioned, to colleagues or to family, or reaching out to a service like yours, whether by the phone now or something, that it's okay, you know, just that message that it's okay to reach out to people is a big message that we should all be sharing with everybody at this time, because even those that seemingly are doing well, it's an unusual situation. It's got a huge amount of stress really on us, and we need to not deny that, I think.
I think as well, when we initially went into lockdown, it was quite a novelty. So people were just kind of like, oh, how are we getting on? What's going on? But now we're in, oh my gosh, what are we in, week 5 or 6? I think this is where people are starting to feel a bit twitchy. The anxiety may be raising more, and getting more and more sort of when can we get back out? What am I going to do? What if this never goes away? So again, as you said, it is about making those connections to other people. We believe that we're going to start to get more of an influx of people contacting us for support as this moves forward. But also, even when we're back out of lockdown and getting back into community, I think that's going to raise a whole new area of anxiety, concern, worry, because there's so many people that may have been made redundant, have lost their jobs. There's all that financial difficulty that's going on as well. And once we're all back out there, and the support that the government's been giving may reduce and not be there then, and it's like, what happens now? So I think it's not just now where there's the worry around mental health and well-being. I think we're going to have quite a big time of people coming for support and needing help as we move out of this lockdown period as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Which again then brings us back to, as we were saying earlier on, fundraising being key for you guys offering your support. So I just wondered if anybody is watching and they've got any great fundraising ideas for Springfield Mind, then do put them in the comments below. And perhaps we can get some new initiatives up and running for you guys, which would be really, really good. Seen quite a few challenges on social media for other charities and things, so it would be good to have some ideas. So please do comment, like, share below, so that we can help support this message and really put a highlight on mental health at this time, and as you say, going forward, Jo, because you're absolutely right, it is going to be step by step, and the ramifications of the pandemic, I think, will have a longer term effect, even if we are out of our homes and going back to our daily jobs and lives. So it's really, really important. I think I'm going to round it up there, Jo, unless you have anything else that you wanted to add specifically.
No, I think it's been a really good conversation. And just to say, for anyone that's listening, if they want any more information, support, advice around services, fundraising, training that we offer, or around their mental health and well-being, please do get in touch. And I think, Rachel, you're going to put a link on or something.
Yeah, I'll put a link on. The website is springfieldmind.org.uk, isn't it?
Yes.
We'd love to see all your initiatives, and obviously you do some bits on social media as well. So if people want to check out that, then they can. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, Jo, and wishing you all the best. And we'll be in touch and perhaps have a catch up in a few weeks to see how you're getting on.
Definitely, that would be great. Thanks ever so much, Rachel.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.